Tene ta tanda tren tanda gomu gichuntin la ya oma yentong pe tawe korte re la tene te ya cerdo oma yentong pe tawa te la ya kepa tong chuto kashi gen sen sol na tanda donghan samjur ge tawa sungi yore la tene ndo ne tembe ge tawa te ta songho doje tipa ne tembe tawa nin samjur war se ba ta tanda songho doje tipa te ta cherdo jide yese ki yore te yena ya ta zo ngaran zo ge nyamne nang jo te kare re se na chozu ni ge mengo la te ne nyamne nang ge zorem ge ong de se na chozu ni ji mengo la te ne nyam se leng ge yore la tini te ta tawa thamba je yimbe cher na dong samjur ge tawa hyoge yore la tini ta te hyoge kapso jitan yang kasin chwa nang kin che ge be chwa nang ne tini tipa che shung ge chebar 다 단다 티바 중우디 제발 간데 제네 티바 중우는 로게 여바다 티바 쳔보디 강진이 티바 쳔보는 로게 여부고르데 송아레라 드니데 베 트와데 야부정 선바다고 정송아 드니데 티처나 당아란소 제르도 ndoe tawa tenla pape konsa ndoe tawa tenla pape kap tu som ji go ne tenla pape kap yen na ya rong song ho doje tipe ge nyamle nang ge kap yen na ya rong te ta te la tipa che ni ji on de sina tipa chenbo sung ge yo tene tipa chenbo yin du te la tipa chenbo yin be junsen de kan de se na ko ho ja chenbo tang ten ba go ge yo la tene te teacher na ta te ko ja chenbo te ko shonchun chu de sen che bare shonchun chu de sen che ba sen ken te ta tanda ngaran so ya ta tanda tunta ko ri du zo ta ko ri bare la tene ta ko ri du te la tene ta te ko ton mo pa la so ba te salcha hiro yung yo mare la tene te ngaran so che namba ya 그런 넘버 타파 살타베 체르도 데 존추 센지 코르데 데치 효나 데 칼치완다 우선반다 보지 정송아 데 티처나 존추 센지 코르데 효기
So this afternoon we will be talking about the view of the other empty school. And so generally, when we talk about the other empty school, this is a view that some scholars have called the view that bridges the sutras and the tantras. In terms of bridging the views in the sutras, there is the view of the sutras, and there is the view in the secret mantra Vajrayana, and this is like the view that bridges these two. So, of course, we do have the 4 different classes of Tantra, but when we practice, what is it that we practice? We primarily practice the instructions on Mahamudra and Dzogchen. So, we do the completion stage practice of Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And so the view that fits with this is this view that bridges the sutras and the tantras. And so that is what we will talk about this afternoon. But again, yesterday we also had another wonderful question, and this was the question about the difference between the great vehicle and the foundation vehicle. And so, what is it that makes someone go down the foundation vehicle path? What is it that makes someone go down the Mahayana vehicle path? And this is a really wonderful question. The reason that this was such a wonderful question is that generally when we're talking about these philosophical schools and we're talking about coming to understand, so generally whether we are coming to understand and internalize the view of the sutras through listening and reflection, or whether we are doing the secret mantra Vajrayana practice, what we're in terms of the 2 different vehicles, the foundation vehicle and the great vehicle, we're doing this is the great vehicle. And what is the reason for that? The reason for that is our motivation. We need to have a vast motivation. And that vast motivation is this motivation of bodhicitta. Now, when we say bodhicitta, this is not something that comes up a whole lot in these teachings on the philosophical schools. There is not really any direct mention of the motivation or the interest in do this. It doesn't really come up. But it is still important for you to develop that truly pure motivation. And so I thought for that reason that the subject of bodhicitta is really extremely important. And so I thought that I would like to start by talking a bit about bodhicitta.
Tene ta teya cherdo tipa chunga kunhong de sena tene zo rangdan rang korwe dunghale dorwa ta tene ta tanda tarba topege kunhong de jongare di kunhong de dupore sena dupumare teya be yapo 다 나랑 코르베 두말레 돌나야 데 갈체보레라 데니 티처나 데네 다데 니투 탐지지 랑 둥하 코나레 돌웨게 람 코나레베세나 데야 마레 가르레세나 코나베게 데니 콘소웨게 라인라 추테 로마노 종 로마노라 추테 데남지 냠린세 데네 라니 지부 마인바 옌라요 펜토 쳔보 용기요레라 레데 인나요 당보 kunhong고온데세나 나라 라니 지부 라니 타르바토베게 단도 조나와레 라니 타르바토베 단도 조나와인 베체나 담비 추지 템베가슬라야 다 소소 타르바토베게 쳔도 추데나 다 체란소 솔라 추나나야 체란 타르바토베게 쳔도 추엔다 두구레 소제마도 데네 시크노 자쳔보 난구레 생기테 시라 용기요 마레라 데네 티처나데 세타데 공홍데 자충은도고요 아레라 데네 티처나 데 간디긴 되게요 말에서나 조 간디긴 당게요 말에서나 니지긴 당게요 말. 다 둥할 찐지 센지 통지 둥할레 탄데 요아레 denso dungale matar na tsane rig mare sombege niji kulhonde maraba jeda tene ta tela tene tene niji te dong nyang de hirap ji go yo arela tene hirap te yo te se ta mandang banda go chog yo arela tene teacher na kulhonde ja chung chung da bo je chung arela tene teacher na rang la ya tene job song ji jam den de ji gong pong yi yan den cha sang ji to ge yo ma re la yan den ge wong de se na yan den ja chen bo ji yong to ge yo ma re la ta chong chu san ji gong hong de kan de ji re se na tene gong hong ja chen bo ta den ba re la tene chong chu san ji gong hong la de na tene per na ngaran so tipa chung gong hong de tene ta tanda ngaran so ta namla pegana nam khahi je nyamdo de bekapsu nam tenzu nyamdo de bekapsu la khala je wanam te mitigi sade te na tene nam tenzu la ben zebonda bonda chakbonda yung marila pe tenda bo ta ngaran so senjin kanga dewa tong dende tong dungal tong tande yoare de ne ngaran jibu je dewa tong de zande na tene tel me banda bo ta drama ja banda bo je yung yoare la tene teacher na kung member ta bo tipa chung sung yoare tipa chimbo de tene kanga nyomdo de ji tong demba tong dungal li tol ge tabla zan nang yoare.
Now, generally, when we talk about the motivation for the foundation vehicle, the motivation is primarily to free oneself from the suffering of samsara and to attain liberation. That is the primary motivation. Now, is this a bad motivation? It is not a bad motivation. It's a wonderful motivation. We need to free ourselves from samsara. It's important to do so. But when we talk about the listeners, the people who practice the foundation vehicle, do they really only work for their own to relieve their own suffering? They don't really. Actually, they teach these. They live their life. They teach students. They take care of students. They teach students how to practice and get them to practice and help these other students. But when they give their Dharma talks, they basically, in their Dharma talks, they say you need to free yourself from samsara. They primarily say this, but they do not say, oh, you need to develop the ability to free all other sentient beings from samsara as well. They primarily say you need to free yourself from samsara. And so for this reason we don't say that this is a vast sort of motivation. This is why we say that this is a limited motivation. And so what is it that is lacking here? Well, what is lacking here is the compassion. There isn't quite enough compassion there. And there also isn't quite enough of the full knowing, the intelligence that goes with that. And so because of that, the motivation is somewhat limited. They don't really talk. Now, of course, we ourselves have not yet attained the state of Buddhahood, and so we are not able to perform the vast amount of help to sentient beings, but it is still important for us to have the motivation of bodhicitta, the vast motivation of bodhicitta. And so in comparison to that attitude of bodhicitta, the motivation of the foundation vehicle is a bit limited. It's like when you have a family and everyone's living together in a family. And if you prepare the food and then one person sits down and eats all by themselves, then, it's not so nice, it's not so pleasant for the whole family unit. And so it's the same way with all sentient beings. All sentient beings want to be happy. All sentient beings want to be free from suffering. And so because all sentient beings want to be happy and free from suffering, if we just say, okay, hey, I'm going to work for me, I'm going to free myself about it, it's not quite okay. It's like a little bit shameful. It's a bit, not the greatest of motivations. And so for that reason, we need to have the view that all sentient beings need to be brought to suffering. We have to realize that in the Mahayana, we're working to bring all sentient beings together so that they may all have happiness and so that they all may be free of suffering. And so we are working at methods to bring this about.
Tene ta tela yang zo gari sang yore se na shongshu senji te la senyi number ni sang yore la senyi number ni bo de semji ba ne yandan cher yongda zo bu shongshu de se ni sang yore la ta tela gari go ge yore se na senji la tangbo shongshu ju de senji be ko hong sang bo de la senyi da bo gari go ge yore se na senyi tongbo de ni ji Niji me na teni senchen kangala mikpeki niji yungi yo mare la teni niji chitangi niji gogi yo niji te yang niji khandi je gogi yo re se na niji te churi meba je gogi yo niji te la churi yo na teni ta ngaranzo la niji yo re chitanga senchen kangala ta yi kondu heba yendala dewar hibi nimbo yebe chena senchen kangala niji yo re Nijie yonaya nijie te dribi drip song yin bichirna tene nijie te la shuri yore la tene kashi ge tape na tene mei re la nijie yo la tene tundru re la nijie me banda wada tundru re la nijie yonaya nijie te yang kom la nepe senjin la nijie yo la cho la nepe senjin la nijie me banda wada cho la nepe senjin la nijie me la tene kom la nepe senjin la nijie yo banda wada tene nijie mandawa tene perna mandawa je ye na ya rang jalkab ge me la nijie yo na ya yin ji jalkab la ye me la nijie me banda wada tene nijie shuri yo ba nijie shuri yo na tene ti nijie te la tene te ne sem rabo ta hedan rabo sambang nyamban rabo thodo rabo ngajal rabo yang perwe kokap rabo yungi warela teacher na nije de churi me ba senchen thamje la tene mikba de semchi pa ne yendan cher yin senchen thamje la jiba 나기 수인나야 대화당 된대동 동하동 단대 예배처나 니제 생진 통제라 니제 예배 조리메 념도 예배제 다 거기 와래라 되네 다디 니지 장박은 되게르베서는 니지 장박은 되게 말에 대라야 다디 생진 게 단드부가서 히랍 거기 와래
Now, when we say bodhicitta, what is the main thing that we mean when we say bodhicitta? Well, bodhicitta actually has two characteristics, and the characteristics is that bodhicitta is for the benefit of others, or to bring bodhicitta is to bring benefit to others, to wish for perfect enlightenment, or to aim for perfect enlightenment. And so here, when we talk about bodhicitta, it has to have these two characteristics. Bodhicitta is for the benefit of others, to wish for perfect enlightenment. And so this has the two characteristics. And the first of these characteristics is compassion. And so if we have that, then of course we have to have compassion. Of course, all sentient beings have compassion, but it's a compassion for all sentient beings. But what type of compassion do we need to have? We need to have the unbiased compassion. If there is compassion, then of course, if there is a bias there, then of course it is still compassion. And all sentient beings actually do have compassion within them, because all sentient beings do have Buddha nature. But that compassion is often obscured by veils and obscurations. And so there comes to be a bias. For example, some people have compassion for humans, but not compassion for animals, or it might be the other way around. Some people might have compassion for animals, but only for those fuzzy ones that live on the land, and not for those scaly ones that live in the water. Or you might only have compassion for the scaly ones that live on the water, and not for the fuzzy ones that live on the land, or even the creepy crawly ones that live on the land. And so there are different sorts of compassion that we might have. Or some people might have compassion for, like among humans, you might have compassion for your countrymen, the people in your country, but you don't have compassion for all those people in those foreign lands. So there's others. And so there's a bias that comes about in our compassion. And so because of that, even though there's compassion, there often comes to be a sort of malice or hatred or evil thoughts, or there is pride or jealousy that comes up. And so we don't need that. We need to have the unbiased compassion. So all sentient beings, we need to, for the benefit of all sentient beings. So all sentient beings are the same. All sentient beings we need to bring happiness to all sentient beings and free them all from suffering. They all want to be happy and free of suffering. And so they all want it together. And so if we only so we need to have that compassion that is unbiased. But is compassion alone enough? It is not. We also need to have the intelligence, or the prajna.
Tene tateya tanda kuzala mikhalong gunane nije ta chamba ta nije gompa kasala semi ye gompa kasala kande se gompa resena tombo tonya semi gompa somyo arela tombo senji kanga la hachang nije to samba pelwa yo maimba tene mi hedan dan nesen la soba yo maimba tonyo rabo jinji nyamdo gomne tene te kanga chuje la nije yeba chuje la nesen yeba rabo maimba tene tonyo rabo gomne tene tonyo te remji pelna nije te shuri me ba yaboje yunge yoba yin bicherna tene nije te jachewa nije te hyurang yin dan ba Ninja del te Trungpa Maimba, Ninja Kangala Tsewayaba, Tabaje, Tene, Tatanda, Ninja de Ninji Yandana Mipisorose. Taniba Hirap Jozon la Mipisor Sedu Della. Tajatang Ninji go ni Yandan Sedu. Tene Tatanda Se Ku Nor Longe, Tene Talaso Big go ne, Sentin a Pemba Druk. Main last of go in the pemper drop na the yapore is in a pay yapore. The paint togi or paint togi or the in a pento de Tenea Zo Roju Bajeda. Pento de Kahil Matu Machabandabo. That in the Yungi or la. Then teacher na Tangaranso Samba Sambo Chepara Chinchi Sedu. Then that's just in Korwanta Matanga part the Sentin Tonchi Dungali Jobni. Then 다 담비 추랑게 타르투 근데고 톰지 쳔베 공포 토버는데 그런데 다 그런 종화데 단당무스 룹 톱나yan다 단당무스 룹 마톱나yan다데 다 디그혼데 예나 그혼데 예발라테네 데네데 그혼 쳔버진지 예발라테네 데네 데브자침보제 정토바인비잖아 다 정주선지 그혼데 베 쳔버던 봐봐 데네 데다버지 거기요아래
In the words of my perfect teacher by Patrul Rinpoche, it says that when we meditate upon the four immeasurables, the first of the immeasurables that we meditate upon is immeasurable equanimity. The equanimity towards all sentient beings. And so for all sentient beings, we don't try to increase or develop our compassion or our love, but we also don't let ourselves stray into hatred or malice. Instead, we just have a sort of neutral and even equanimous feelings for all sentient beings. And then when we develop that unbiased feelings, so we gradually train in not feeling like we have compassion for one side and malice or other for another. Rather, we train in having an equanimous feeling for others. And as that develops, when that is developed, then we will be able to have a compassion that is truly unbiased and a compassion that is vast. This will be a peaceful sort of compassion. It won't be that combative sort of a compassion with a combative sort of nature. And so this is the compassion for all sentient beings. And so this is the aspect of the characteristics, is that it is to bring a benefit to all sentient beings. So that is the first aspect of these characteristics, that it bring benefit to all sentient beings. And the second aspect is the aspect of aiming towards complete enlightenment. So the second aspect is the intelligence or the wisdom, the full knowing aspect of aiming towards complete enlightenment for all sentient beings. And so when we have compassion, we might be able to help sentient beings in various ways. We can give them food, we can give them clothing, we can give them wealth, we can give them medicine. We can do all of this, and this does benefit sentient beings. Now, is that good? Oh, yes, of course it's good. It's helpful to them, but there's an end to it. It will run out at some point. And it also only helps a few sentient beings. It does not. It doesn't permeate all sentient beings. And so we need to have a kind heart that pervades everything. And so this is the wish that until such time as a sentient being is emptied, until such time as all sentient beings are freed from samsara, we will try to attain this ultimate result of omniscience. And so now, whether we are able to, at this point, actualize and accomplish that state of omniscience, or whether we are not actually able to accomplish that, we have to have that motivation. And if we have that vast motivation, then we will gradually be able to bring sentient beings the vast benefit. And so this is the really wonderful motivation, the superior motivation of bodhicitta, which we need.
Tene ta te tabu kulon tela tene drev jachim bunjwa te perna ngaran so somotana 다 단다 지당게 다 산지 좀 된데 동부 자가르지 요도 세네 자가르지 요도 추다라 추벨 되니 텔라 담베 추 둥킨다 담베 추라 때네 틀네 담베 추라 때네 되니 다 단다 담베 추진 타르도 근제부 터봐요 망보 중하래라 타르도 근제부 터봐 좀 많이 봐 담베 추라 때네 산 희와다 들어와 되니 생진라 펜바 되니 짐바 땅와다 출심 송와다 제바곰 터발라서 틀네 자침보 다 자간 법이요도 다 되니 대견도 되니 배 공진지 중서 다르 되니 대견도 잠벨랭게 유르 망볼라 다르 되니 다 등상가 바르라 로종 다 동tra지니 로기요레데 이나야 대타르도 담비추데 만바다 다르와 좀더 마지 단당하란서 되니 잠벨랭게 산니 망볼라 아메리카 조르시비 잠벨랭게 산니 망볼라 다리 힘바 다 대 마음발라 젬헬던 로주 여반다고 다 딘데 중화래라 땡운이 장내게 수트네리세나 동부 자와 다부데 산지 좀 된데 찌게 담비 추데 송매나 다데 되네 용기요 말이라 디 틀네 자침보데 자니 용기요 말이 술라야 산이 강갈라 용토기요 말이 산지 좀 된데 담비 추좀 걸로 걸어와라 때네 좀 혀다래 산지 좀 된데 담비 추좀 걸로 걸어 틀네 때 간디지 제니 중화래세나 되니 산지 좀 된데 랑기 송나 나는 현재 울보를 줄봤나 대신시 바샤자토발라 정공시네 플로어시네 좀 동부를 송준초도 샘지 도성네 되니 당보 도자 그때 바데 다 깔바망부 공도 공 점시 울보 해라 제와기 되니 점시 울보 해기 제와기 베가슬라 디갑슬라야 산지 샤자토바생기 지팅지 강 잠바데 대체비가서 공개 된잘 네비 대파지 야보정 드니 대파 야보정디 대라 공 가나르세나 투바 포바콘 야바다 공 울보레 간 현도 간 요마레 투바 포바콘 요아레라 투바 포바콘 데 산지제 루지나는 폴 산지지 좀데 야보 지니 예송데 대라 데네 당시 울보데 베 셈바가 되니 데 토지네 말람잠보답네 대인기 바 체코진라다 코르동 구시치동 신강수 치진 센주 정보 진라와 덴라코나 도종지로 교서네 되니스 대인기 바 샤자토 바 체랑가 꾼 간데 여바 되네 체랑 코르 간데 여바 되네 구시 치 간데 여바 틀네 간데 여바 대타르도 단당하라 포르바카 포르네 송주조도 센지베게 펜야 텔라티네 딘데지 용와 효소네 만남자 딘데 제발라테네 다 당보 개와 가능성 요아레세나 투바 포바카 폴리오아레라 되니 대타부게 선놈티 텔라테니 다단 잠블랭게 차상라 펠토바텐데 중화레라 다티 송주조도 센지바 생기데 누바 쳔보 예 메세나 대정가 누바 자쳔보 로토기 요아레라 디처는 알아서야 송주조도 센지베 가슬라 까까라 인라라 멜라라 다보 되니 제페인 툴라라 마토란다보 레섬반다보 융그레디 인나요 마음발라 단 데브 자쳔보 주주에 바타
And so this bodhicitta can really produce tremendous, vast results. So, like for example, with the Buddha appeared in India, and when he appeared, he taught the Dharma spread throughout India. There were many people who practiced the Dharma, who accomplished the Dharma. There are many people who, through their practice of the Dharma, were able to engage in great activity. They were able to attain the ultimate results of their Dharma practice. Not only that, because of their Dharma practice, they were able to tame their minds, subdue the afflictions. And so, and they were able to practice generosity, practice discipline, practice patience, and diligence, and the others. And then later, the Dharma likewise also spread into Tibet. And then it also spread to many different parts of the world. And this happened over the course of 2,500 years. It's been 2,500 years since this happened. Not only has it spread and stayed extant for 2,500 years, now in many parts of the world, especially in America, the Dharma is spreading. And it's spreading in such a way that in the future it's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger. And so whose activity did this come about from? This came from the activity of one Buddha. So the one Buddha taught the Dharma. If there had not been one Buddha teaching the Dharma, none of this would have come about. None of this activity would have been able to happen. It would not have been able to happen. But because the Buddha appeared in the world, and the Buddha taught the Dharma, then look at how the activity has spread throughout the world. And so this is, but this all came about because of what the Buddha talked about in a sutra. The Buddha said, when I was a poor Brahmin, I offered a bowl of soup to the Buddha, and through that I developed the mind of bodhicitta. And so, this is the first time that the Buddha developed bodhicitta. When he first developed bodhicitta, he had been born as a poor Brahmin many eons ago. He was this very poor Brahmin, and at that time there was also another Buddha. And that Buddha, back in those many eons ago, was also named the Buddha Shakyamuni. And so the poor Brahmin met this Shakyamuni and felt great faith for him and wanted to do something, wanted to make an offering for him. But he was so poor that he didn't have anything to offer except for a bowl of soup. And so he offered this bowl, he poured it into the Buddha's alms bowl, and the Buddha accepted the offering and ate it and was delighted. And this Brahmin was so overcome with faith that he said that he developed the mind of bodhicitta, and he made an aspiration at that point. The aspiration that he made at that time is just as your body, with a name just like yours, a body, a lifespan, with activity just as yours, so too may I be just like you are. And so he made the aspiration that just as you, this Buddha Shakyamuni, to the same size body that you have, the same lifespan that you have, the same retinue of people, the same sort of activity, so too will I awaken to Buddhahood. And so this all came out of offering one bowl of soup and on generating bodhicitta. This is the benefit of it. So this all came about because of that one thing. And so what was that first virtue? That virtue was offering one bowl of soup. And because of that, the Dharma has been able to spread throughout the entire world. And so sometimes we might wonder whether bodhicitta has power or if it doesn't have power. But we can see that actually it can have that much power. So when we're sitting here and we think to ourselves, oh, we have to develop bodhicitta, and we might wonder, well, is this really bodhicitta? Is this really doing anything? Does this do any good at all? Am I doing really anything at all? Well, you just have to remember this and realize that in the future, this will have vast results.
Tene ta dicherna tandangaran soge nyomlin na kabi na yan ra tusam na kabi na yan ra tudon number jondo ina yan rong te ten kapkala konson chuju to senjine samba sambota demba te chona tene te pen samji ma chapata demba rela ten tanda mixal ge ngaran so tusam na ka ta nyamlin na kapla tene pe konson te yapo rangin hundu gi na pe yapo rela rangin hundu ga machi na yo zoju jane tene ta te yang go gi yopa somni yong to kam na pe pa kalchembo yimchena tipa chimbu ko konta mahompa la tene zepa tan tene jachembo nang ki ta do nyam senchi thangchi la pembe ge che to la ta tene na ro chi shugi yan la Tene ta tanda ngaranso zawi chuting on the sena tanda hyom tene te tabu chuni somji mecha pate rang ngo ye tam me ji je na chuni somji mecha pa dewar ki bin bo yen dong ki song dun ju pate ta ye ba je re me ba je re se je ge trena ta te khandi je rang la te som ji je na la len rabo de khandi ji yo are se na jing me be dong ba chung chi nam kha tong mo hyam je po ta ba yo mai la jing me be dong ba je re be se na de nam kha tong ba rabo je re be se na ma re ta wo na me tong be tak pa yin ba ta den ru yin ba mu ti be do ta bu je ya yin re be se na te yo ma re 니가 말해 덴버 주바요 말해 똥바 똥중 해죠 말해 다 가세 나랑 게 mambo 휴바rel라 다 데이터 값들 살보르 송아rel라 다 원나 간디제 다 모혐지 보다 남가다 버제자 말해 모티베 더다 버제자 말해 다 원나 간디제는 놀래 샘네 샘 만치데 다 단당 알아 속에 샘테라 샘테 네루 데라 야포 제 따나 알아 속에 다 류단 샘니 예베나니 당보 샘테 nenga chenpo yin ta sem chik na la yin song yo are lu ngo ye song ge no ne su zuo che na san zuo che ge de la san zuo che du de la san de kanan do ta du de la sem ti ngo la ta na de ni sem ne sem ma chi de ni ta yo kap se la san ti ni tu ge yo ma re yo ma re ma ni ba de ka re se na san ji ngo de rang yin ge ma du ba re de ngo rang yin ji tong ba re Tomba re te yina ya sen manchi te sen je rangin we salwa wo mepa tomba re te yina ya te tomba tongjung namkha tabu te pem tong rabu rebe se na mare yen ten che yon mepa je rebe se na mare sen je rangin te we salwa se na salwa yi hi je namba tang tenpa hi su rungwa salwa tang tenpa yen no hi sunwa re.
And so, whether we are doing our practice, or whether we are doing study, or whether we are just going about our normal affairs in our daily lives, if we can have this motivation of bodhicitta, if we can have this kind mind, then it really has an inconceivable benefit. And so, for that reason, in particular when we are studying, and in particular when we are practicing, we must have a good motivation. Now, if this motivation just naturally and spontaneously happens, that is wonderful. And if it doesn't, then you should sort of fake it and make it happen. And just meditate upon it over and over again. It's important to do this. And so, in particular now, it really asks you to please develop this Mahayana motivation, that in the future you be able to engage in the vast activity to help limitless numbers of sentient beings who are as limitless as space. And so now we have come to the main part of our teaching today. And here, as it says at the beginning of the last paragraph on page 5, it reads here, you might ask whether the essence of that inconceivable Dharma nature is something or nothing. So this is something that I've talked about before. When we think about the Dharma nature, the Buddha nature, the nature of mind, all of these things, is it something or is it nothing? It's possible that we might have that sort of doubt. And so here Khenpo Gangshar gives the answer, and the answer is basically what I've said before. It is not completely non-existent emptiness, mere nothingness, like space or the child of a barren woman. So it's not nothingness, it's not nothingness, it's not like just blank empty space, it's not like the child of a childless woman who doesn't have a child. So can't exist. So it's not like that. It's not just blank emptiness. And then it continues. So you might wonder then, if it's not nothing, is it something? Is it permanent? Nor is it permanence that is not empty, truly existent, such as the self of the non-Buddhist. And so, is it something truly existent like the self of the non-Buddhists? It is not like that either. When we look for it, we can't find it. It is also emptiness. And so this is so this is as it says in a sutra. As a sutra says, there is no mind in mind. And so first we have a mind. And in the mind instructions, when we look at the mind, as it explains in Khenpo Gangshar's mind instructions, we first have to decide what is most important, our body, our speech, or our mind. And when we look at these, we see that the most important one is the mind. Well, then if we look for that mind, well, where is that mind? Where can we find it? When we look at the essence of the mind, we cannot find the mind. There is no mind in mind, so we cannot find it in any way. So is it just that we don't know how to look for it? It is not there. Rather, it's because the essence of the mind is emptiness. It is naturally cannot be established. It is empty. So there is no mind in mind. But the nature of mind is luminous. And so the mind may be nothing. It may be emptiness. But at the same time, is it inanimate emptiness? Is it nothingness and blankness? It is not. It is not just nothing at nothingness at all. It also has the luminous nature. The nature of mind is luminous. That means it has the aspect of clear wisdom, and it is able to know.
Tene ta te hisum batar se. Tene ta tendo ino ne tende song yo la. Te sum batar do semte yepa ta la yo manu wa. Mepa gan ta la yo manu wa. Takpa gan ta la yo manu wa. Chepa gan ta la ma yo manu wa. Yemi toshi so ta tamchi tong chalwa yen yehi yermese ba sundu tela tangaranso jetang ngubu chu tongji de ne jewa meba toni tela karisung yore sena yen sung yore yen sedu namke yen sedu be jachembo yimba chu tong namka yen te ya be jachembo rela tanda chuji yen ta de chuji yen se ta tombi chu ge nelu chu tamji je nelu ge yen te ya jachembo tamji la chapde ba yimbe chena yen tomba jewa me ba se toni ngo la sung yore yen te ngo te kandi namke ge ngo te yen re namke yen re te ina namke yen ge ngo te kandi jere se pembore kaya yihindabu hibandabu salchandabu kaya yo mare la tomba tongchon re 다 추지 yen 되게 내단데 간데지레세나 되니 yen 예히 예르메 바데 예르메세 바세 다디 yen게 논들라 예히기 차비연 당 변나라서 산제네루가 논들라 되니 살차 산제네루데 무보 도도라보진 통거르베세는 통거 말에 문통와도 가르르세는 산데롱 인지 되니 제와메 바단데 대 제와메 바단데 데 이나야 되니 다 제와메 바르베세는 말에 텔라 살와 강가 하코와 히바 통화 살와 요레라 되니 텔라 살와타 tomba 니데 예르메세 바세도 데 살와레 데 tomba레센 다티 샘가 체두 텔라 살와 tomba 세게 요레 마도 데 살와레 데 tomba레센 파 체야 요 말에 군이 념도 요레 되니 살와티 ngote tombaride tombati ngote salwaride ba yermese ba tating aranso repeat ji jipa ka repeat ka salan tende sungu yorela nyong ka salan sanje nelu la tena teni tomba ta salwani yerme ba je yore mato sen sinkinte dodo kahi ge te je gomba ka sala salcha zor je ba inayanda kahi ge gomba ka sala tongcha zor je ba inayanda salwagi ngote tomba imba tomba ngote salwa imba mato salton ni de soso chia yo marela tene ngoton la rangin salve doni kintu yute se tomba rongin we salwa hisum batar yin la.
And so this is as is said in the sutras. And so what it says in the sutra is that the mind is not something, it's not nothing, so it doesn't fall to the extreme of being something, it doesn't fall to the extreme of nothing, it does not fall into the eternalist extreme, it does not fall into the nihilist extreme. It is free of all extremes such as something, nothing, eternal, or nihilist. It is the wisdom and expanse indivisible. And so here it is the wisdom and the expanse indivisible. And so generally, we talk about all things, all phenomenal things, as being unborn from the very beginning, emptiness. That emptiness is the expanse. This expanse, this emptiness of all phenomena, is as vast as space. Just as there are no limits to space, as it is vast, so does this expanse, the empty expanse of the Dharma expanse. It is similarly vast. And so the nature, the way the Dharma nature is, this expanse is vast. It permeates everything. And so this is the unborn emptiness, the non-arising emptiness. That is the empty essence. So now, but when we think about the essence of space, that emptiness of space, what is it like? It is inanimate. It is material. There's no clarity to it in any way. But when we talk about the essence of the way the Dharma expanse is, it is it is expanse and wisdom, and these two are indivisible. So there is the expanse, but is permeated and pervaded by the wisdom. This is the clear aspect of the mind. And so we often think we sort of when we look at the mind, is there some sort of a thing that is a solid thing that we can find? We can't find it. From the very beginning, it has been unborn, non-arising. It is emptiness. But is it nothing at all? It is not. It has the clarity. It can know everything. It can see everything. It can understand anything. It is always clear. It is this union of the clarity and of the emptiness. The clarity and the emptiness are indivisible. So it's not like you can say, okay, this is the clarity and this is the emptiness and they're together. It's not like that. There's no way that you can divide the clarity and the emptiness. There's no way you can separate or divide them in any way. It is inherently empty by essence and clear by nature. And so the clarity and the essence are together. The essence of the clarity is empty. The essence of the emptiness is clear. And so this is what we find if we establish it and prove it through logic and reasoning and inference. And when we experience it through our meditation then and look at the nature of the mind, then we see that there is the clarity and there is the emptiness, but these two are indivisible. It's not like there's some something we can identify as the mind. So sometimes when we meditate, we more emphasize the clarity aspect. Sometimes we more emphasize primarily the empty aspect of the mind. But the essence of the clarity is empty. The essence of the empty is clear. There is no way you could divide them in any way. So it is inherently empty by essence and clear by nature.
Tene ta deta bu chuni gangong la nyambar yoslo yong shanggan chi samne ta jansa shambang bu tanda hesing en tu jeng nang la song yo re la jilam ge nang la song yo re ndala salsa jeng mi yopar chawa chungsi mi yongda ni la yongda thona number troll sum de la ta senji nelu ona chuni ge nelu dewarki bi nimbo satong song dun ju patela pa pangoya che yore besena che yo mare tiden la sardu yogoya che yore besena ta te huma yo mare ta saba che yogoya yore besena chungsi me ta korang nelu de yang ta ba ni rela yongda thona number 12 ta ti nelu de machu pa yo ne machu pe nelu de hina te number 12 ye se ta de jasa jamba ge bu so la ngaran su doji chung tu ma so de na la ya machu de garan jo bu gam chin la se te ne de tanda Gangshar topu ngo somati nangto ngo sarba se du zochu maje pa sen nelu la zochu maje pa sen korang ngo hotel machu pa Tekara Jopase, Teka, Taka, Lanyambra Jopati, Gomchin, Gomza, Lodon Tower, Singilo, Suanagi, the Chipa Nagi, take the refugees Bob, Tanda Tawi Gone, Jipok Tawi Gone, Suarella, take the Gombinyon Gone, Suarella, Yina Tini, Tanda, the Chipa Pagi or Hisum Batar, Sarga Godu Tongi Tontawan, Zimi Yon Topetala, Luzi Trimi Maguber, Number Jogu, Tatirpa, Luge, Yapuchi Zogu, Samba Maimba, Duboji Rindogri Samba Maimba, Tiniti Korankana, Koranganelu Kare Yimba, Tingondo, Lady, Number Yona, Tatig, Nelu de Togiore.
And so, as it is said here, Maitreya explained the way to rest in equipoise within the nature of that Dharma nature, as is the way that Maitreya explained the way to rest. Oh, this is. Sorry, I need to edit the sentence, I think. Maitreya explained the way to rest in equipoise within the Dharma nature as follows. And so, what Maitreya, this is a line that verse that Maitreya said in both the Ornament of Clear Realization and in the Supreme Continuum, and it reads, "In this there's nothing to dispel, nor anything at all to add. By viewing rightness rightly and by seeing rightly, liberation." And so, when we look at the nature of the mind, or we talk about the Dharma nature, the union of clarity and emptiness, is there something that we need to get rid of? There's nothing that we need to get rid of there. Is there something new that we need to add to it in any way? There's nothing new that we need to add to it. There's nothing at all that we need to add to it in any way. We just need to rest in, we just need to, the nature of, the way it is, the nature of how it is right. It is perfect. So by viewing rightness rightly and by seeing rightly, liberation. So if we just know the nature as it is without altering it, then we are liberated. And so this is what Maitreya wrote in the Ornament of Clear Realization and in the Supreme Continuum. But this is also actually the same as what it says in the short Vajradhara lineage prayer in the third verse, where it says, "As ones who whatever arises rest simply, not altering in just that fresh essence of thought." So as ones who whatever arises rest simply, not altering in just that fresh essence of thought. So just that fresh essence of thought, just as it is. We don't need to change it. We don't need to alter it. We just rest right within it, just right in there. We relax, loosen, and relax directly into that. The essence of thoughts, it's not something that we need to do. The nature of the mind, it's not something. We just rest without altering it right in that. And so please bless us with meditation that's free of conception. And so this is really the same meaning as the quote from Maitreya. So the first of these is presenting the view and as established through inference and reasoning. And the second presents it in terms of the meditation experience. But they are the same meaning. And so as it says, continues, "The reason to rest in equipoise within the right limit of non-fixation, free of all dispelling, adding, refuting, and established, unsullied by mental fabricated stains, appears briefly in texts of the Paramita vehicle, such as Paramita Sutras, as well as in the Supreme Continuum in a way that is compatible with the vehicle of profound mantra." And so this is not something where, okay, my mind is something that I need to make into something good, nor is it something that like it's bad now and I've got to do something to it. It's just the nature as it is. We just let it be as it is, relax into it as it is, and rest in that. And if we do that, we will be able to realize the nature.
Tene ta tela ya ta gombe kapsula khande gugre se na samung ho jati patan tambar ta te khani tembare se na chawa khani tembare se na sung ho doje ti pe lone ta tanda choju ge menga la te ne sung ha ta tikpa la te dang tamba tene tedan tumba tanda di Trungpa kasu hepate kani chungwa resena sherchen tong jila mala soba parchin tipa lechon chan zom tawe go ne yungwa yen la ta te tende yung re teni gomba chay to bawe yo re ti chen gomba chay to papa zom to yung masi te la tu som she na tingyen zen tenzo la sarcha tenpa ta ichi che wa ta tene pe te la pento chenpo yung yo re 대답을 다 되라 그러니까 혈담다 보지 나와라 대답을 주인이 년반이 이제 공단 사몰라 루드 마리바 데세도 되니 다데 나란소 루드게 레바데 다단다 지박 냠네세네 지박 때네 니히체 버티 지바 있나야라 대마인바 검네 ngāsum 그 냠냠 야보지 지바 있나요 라티 데시도 빠딘라메 샤비 니바섬 지테네 드네 라말라테 드네 초사바도 드바종와 드네 소 근접 람젠 내송라 롱냠동 뜸바 초사바데 칸디 구기 와레세나 쩌르도 다 바로도 쯤바 돌라소바 냠린시네 초사 구기 와레라 디나네 나란소 다 단다 투모마인베 샹링게데네 초사데 칸디 제게 와레세나 멘탈폴 아테네 쩐다 륜체진시 다 딘데시네 무스 짐바 땅 톱나양다 무스 짐바 쳇바당 짐바 땅 마톱나양 다 멘탈폴니 이기트르니 셔놈지 초사 되니 대견도 륜체진시네 께땅 되니 랑게 찌버른 좀바디 랑게 류인 베잖아 류디 되니 탐지를 짐바 땅와인 som보고네 되니 다탄데 짐바 땅와고네 초사바 되니 대다보다 드바 정와라야 되니 간디난게 요아르세나 조 드바 딕바다 드바 디나니 드바시나 넘토 라과 녀몬바 쳔보 다 텐데를 거기 와래라 디니디 녀몬바디 쩌르도 트렌히도 바에 그거네 디니 돈이 그단 감네 빵구 요아레 디자와니 빵고 타브레 다 단단 알아서 때 총도 땅야 그 탑라 간디 세게 요아레세나 조 도지 셈바 감디시네 티 도지 셈바 찌주로 감 데츠바 종고 미바시네 티네 랑 딕바톤 드바톤치 장송 삼바 텐데시네 티네 님보 또 비야세나 다 단다 쩐줄라 소팔리 성 요아레라 데타부 딕딥 종와소 초서 드종 다 단다 지탄게 미미 이히지 초도 미치 선음지 초세 남바니 숭게 요아레라 미미 이히지 초공도세나 다 힘내 동랑동 그 땡엔zen 감 단다 주니게 내루공도 냠버려 세니게 내루공도 냠버려 다 될라 미미 이히지 초숭게 요아레 미치 선음지 초세나 단다 초서 드바당 다디 초서 드종 kunzo langje nesonla rongyamdong taine tene ngarang nyamla kande pengdo tati ka kongri to tsewa chimbu suwa yin bichana rong nyamdang taine se ta yinji minji chepar chinji kande gugi yore se na jetun mala repata wa hindo embene se tene kawachi ne drup gugi yore rete yinaya 대답 통킹 겜보레 전주시 톱나이 야보레 전주시 마톱 까와지 마톱나 랑가 가세 투투제 롱냠동 땡 세드 나랑가 가세 투근도 쳇바폰나 선엄그 초사나 나랑가 가세 사토근도 드바존나 나랑가 가세 장토근도 띵엔젠 검나 나랑가 가세 장토근도 대견도 단다 투섬그 롬니르시나 나랑가 가세 투근도 대다 땡니 주니제 단제 곰발라 온조르바 다 야포 칼리 칼리시니티니 다티 나랑가 주니게 내루도 세니게 내루델라 되네 야포 제 감토바지 제네 좀 갈치에 손에 동원 나와
So when we do the meditation, what is it that we need to, how is it that we need to do the meditation? Well, we need to do the meditation in a way that is compatible with the with the vehicle of profound mantra. And so we need to be able to practice in a way that is compatible with the secret mantra Vajrayana and the instructions on Mahamudra and Dzogchen. And so this also comes from the sutra, the text of the Paramita vehicle, the sutra vehicle, such as the Prajnaparamita sutras, as well as in the Supreme Continuum. So it does appear in those texts as well. And so not only, and so here we need to establish this view. We need to understand it. It is important for us to study it and listen and contemplate and study it. And we need to develop and if we do so, then when we do meditation, there will be that clarity there. There will be the certainty of the meditation. And this is a really important point. We need to have this understanding in order to have the clarity and belief in our meditation. And so then Khenpo Gangshar gives a bit of advice here. And this advice reads, until one's intelligence reaches the profound intent of the Dharma nature of equality. And so until such time as our own intelligence, whether this means the certainty that comes out of inference, or whether it means the actual direct experience that comes from meditation. Until we have that real certainty, that sort of intelligence, we need to train in this way. One should follow the glorious Guru, pleasing them in 3 ways: through gathering merit, in several ways, through gathering merit, purifying obscurations, and so forth. And so we need to gather the accumulations of merit. So how is it that we do this? We do this primarily through the practice of the 6 transcendences. We gather the accumulations of merit. And so among these, what is our own particular special way of doing that? Well, if we want to gather the accumulation of merit, we do we make mandala offerings, and we also do the chut practice of offering our body. And so whether we're actually able to give something now, or whether we can just imagine it now, we're not able, then when we make offerings, of mandala offerings, for example, we imagine offering the entire universe, and we gather vast amounts of merit through that. Or we do the practice of chut. By giving the chut practice, we give away that which is most important to us. We visualize giving away our body. We think that we're giving it away to everyone, and through that way we gather vast amounts of merit. We also should purify obscurations. So for purifying obscurations, the obscurations here, generally we talk about misdeeds and obscurations, but primarily we're talking about obscurations. And among these, they are primarily the coarse thoughts in our mind. When we have strong afflictions, coarse thoughts. And generally the way we need to deal with these is through having mindfulness and awareness and meditating upon emptiness. But doing that is a way to eradicate them entirely. But it's nice to have a little method to do this, to sort of make them a little bit smaller until such time as we're actually able to do that. And that method is the meditation on Vajrasattva. So we visualize Vajrasattva above the crown of our heads. We visualize that nectar flows from it and into our bodies and purifies us of all our misdeeds and obscuration. And then this way we rely on the 4 powers of the antidote that are described in the Way of the Bodhisattva and in other texts. So when we are accumulating merit in this way, there is the referential accumulation of merit, and there is the non-referential accumulation of wisdom. The non-referential accumulation of wisdom, and here wisdom is the Tibetan word yeshe or yeshe, or in Sanskrit jnana. So this accumulation, non-referential accumulation of wisdom comes through doing shamatha meditation, insight meditation, realizing the nature of the mind, resting in equipoise within the Dharma nature, resting in equipoise within the nature of the mind. These are the non-referential accumulation of wisdom. The referential accumulation of merit is when we when we is when we make the offerings and give and practice generosity and so forth. And so we do these and we train in these relatively in the secret points of the path. It is important to train. And here the translation is a little wrong. It says in all ways. It really should be in accord with your own experience. You train in the secret points of the path. It is important to train in accord with your own experience until you attain mastery in the meaning of the Dharma nature. So we need to do this in accord with our own experience. And so, of course, the best thing is if we were all superior practitioners, we were all able to go up into isolated mountain retreats and live like Milarepa eating nothing but nettles. But we can't all do that right away. We have to do this training in accord with our experience, our diligence, our study. We need to do the study. We need to do that in accord with what we're able to do. We need to when we gather merit, we need to do that in accord with what we can do. When we purify ourselves of misdeeds and obscurations, we need to do that in accord with what we're able to do. When we meditate on samadhi, we need to do that in accord with our own abilities. And when we study, we need to do it in accord with our own abilities. And so if we do that, then we need to train in this way until we can really realize the nature, the meaning of the Dharma nature. And if we do this, then this will be helpful helpful for us in realizing the Dharma nature and the nature of the mind. And so we need to train in this in all different ways, or as much as we can.
Tene ta tetabu chitanga ronu tumo mayimpa songo doji tipa don jarne tunta tsamba te pe yapo tanda tabala tusam na pe tab debo dubo ronu don tamba pe tene chozu ko tawata jarne sem je nelu don jarne samga bayimbe chna pe kalchim borela tene te zai tene jiwa nyamne na tende na pe pento chimbore tene tringe 대좀 쉬어나 대지 좋아하는 킨도 보여나 좋아하는 거지 몇섬 좀 예좀 쉬나 말이래.
And so in this way we can practice according to this particular, our own, the particular view of our own tradition, if we can, that combines this with this view with the secret mantra Vajrayana. And it's really wonderful to be able to practice like that. It's an easy way to practice. It's a way we can handle. And so this is a description of how to practice that really fits with our own particular tradition. It fits with the practice of Mahamudra. It fits with the practice of Dzogchen. And so to study like this and to practice like this is really beneficial. So that's enough for this afternoon. We have a time for a few questions, maybe 3 or 4. Maybe if they're short questions, I don't know.
Rinpoche, is devotion also an expression or aspect of bodhicitta as well as compassion? And it seems that, to me, that just as compassion would be the mind's natural reaction to samsara or suffering, that devotion would be the mind's natural reaction to nirvana or enlightenment, and that both would be connected in that way as part of bodhicitta.
Dila mugu rabuyana te kaso ninje nanshin kaso janju semnang kongsu dugiyana janju gi semgi chashe rabuyana pena ani ninje de kaso ani kore dogna de tonne ranshin gi keju yeba pena ani nyangne deba ge yundan rabo tonde de mugu ranshin gi keju reste de kaso de janju semnang kaso de Trungpa rabo rebe.
다단다 지당 그 니지 현단라 미바데 현단 자침분 중하려라 다티 먹을때야 티카운은 또 그래비스는 또 그래 이나야 조 가리콘스 또 바르세는 히랍 그 잘라 히랍 그 드니 조부송지 좀 된대지 공pon게 연된다 담배주지 연된된 좀 통네 대라 무바다 다 먹을세도 드니 가히 추라 먹을지와 가히 드니 단다 라마라 먹을지와 랑가자와 라마라 먹을지와 드니 냠레나 먹을지와라서 먹을 거랑 먹을 지당 먹받침보지 다 된대 인도텔라 드니 다디 라마라 먹을지 준생 가르레세나 담배 추에 양딱바제 톱 담배 추에 양딱바제 인종 담배 추라 때는 뱀바침보제 인종알라 때는 먹을지게 요아래라 드니 티처나 히랍지 조종나 미피서 소르그난 파진 로기 요아래바 드니 티처나 먹을 샤레 티콘스 매바요 말래라 미살게 먹을때 총추생지 양한다고 라이 미살게 성거 말해
Generally, when we talk about compassion, that is the aspect of bodhicitta that is focusing on the benefit for others. This is the vast benefit for others. And so devotion is included within bodhicitta, but it's primarily we talk about the intelligence or the full knowing aspect of it. So when we see the qualities of the state of Buddhahood, then we develop interest in it. We develop the devotion. And when we have devotion, sometimes we have more devotion in the Dharma. Sometimes we have more devotion for the Lama. Sometimes we have more devotion for the practice. We have that devotion. That devotion is an interest. It's that strong interest in there. And so like when we see the Lama, we see that from the Lama we can get the Dharma, and that this Dharma helps us. And because that Dharma has helped us, then we feel a devotion for that. And so it is in this way included within this aspect of the intelligence or the full knowing of it. But it's not directly, it's not explicitly mentioned in there. It's not explicitly labeled as an aspect of bodhicitta.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Rinpoche, in light of the third turning teachings that you've been giving today, that one's fundamental nature is the Buddha nature, and that this is fully manifest in us, would it be correct to say that the path, in light of that view, is experientially recognizing that and then stabilizing that recognition through our practice, through our actual ritual practice of meditation and mantra and so forth?
Da Rinpoche ge tring isomba na shin de ngaso ge ranshin de deru shepi nimbo ye na tne de deru shepi nimbo de ngaso na la ani ngundu jurba yindu tsamba la de dabo yindu tsamba la kaso ane lam de kaso tne deru shepi nimbo de nyamsu nyongne de ngotrepa da ngotrepa de temper chip kaso gom dang nyamnenge temper che de dabo lamna digrebe
대가라 대어기 비님보테 예파 원체 테네 다 대견도 단다 원체 바테 템버종 대감 대냠슬론네 대응한도 저나 다 다르도 근데부터 봐 텐데 되게 주니게 내로 대가라 대어기 비님보세 나ян다 다 텐데 봐
That's it. That's right.
Thank you very much, sir.
I didn't finish yet, sorry. That's it. That's right. The Buddha nature. It's recognizing the Buddha nature, and once you've recognized it, then stabilizing it, nurturing it, and stabilizing it, meditating on it, and practicing it, and then coming to attain the ultimate result. Whether you call it the Dharma nature or the Buddha nature, that's exactly what it is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the teachings, Rinpoche. When talking about the nature of mind in terms of luminous emptiness, and the example given is space being empty, and the luminous quality or clarity is wisdom. When we look at cosmology, I'm told by the experts that 95% of the space or cosmos is dark matter or dark energy, and sentient beings are very late arriving on this planet and in this cosmos. So I'm wondering, where is the wisdom in space? Or where is that luminous quality? Or could a skeptic say that we made it up, that humans made up this wisdom quality? Or is it, as the teachings say, it's all pervasive, including in inanimate?
Dila seni de Satung shepe kapsula ya de pe de la ni kaso namka da pesha yere de yande sawa de la ni she da la yere yina da ka tomba de nga so tsenubi ge tawagi on de chena tomba de mang cha ga da pemdong da bore pembore de da de kaso semchen se de pe nyung do mang cha da ga ane Chögyam kaso Khenpo ma tot kai yo mare. De rabu yena de namka de nana ni yeshe de kawayo. Ane de yeshe de ngaso loyo da pa tsam yena yana kaso de chasa na kyapa de ne jitaru tempa na shin de chasa na kyapa yena.
다 단다 ngaranso 단다 뱀통 당지 자친보 이어봐 뱀보 임바데 간데레세나 동출 출발이와 출발이 온드세나 데레라 딘 출발이 내루 데라 간데 요레세나 벤나가랑서 네게 다기게 두데라 다 벤나메 울보데 코라 데게 요레 울보레데 디게 내루라 가리 요레세나 올라 세리 요레 페테 겐들 단다 단다 다티 벤통 디긴 북다 되게 답드는 다한테 얘기를 요하라. 되는데 갈래 검니. 대 간디 땡고 요하시는 검니. 되는데 저 땡고 요하라.
So now when we talk about the inanimate emptiness, the material emptiness or the dark matter, the vastness, the material aspect of it, that is the way it appears. That is the confused way that it appears. That is confusion. So what is the nature of that confusion? The nature of that is, as I have said, as I said earlier, it's like the poor person who has the huge hunk of gold under the house. The nature is there. It's right there, but we aren't finding it. And so now it seems like there is the inanimate emptiness, but behind it, or inside, or behind it someplace, there the wisdom is present. And so when we meditate, we can extract that wisdom. We extract that wisdom by meditating.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Rinpoche, I feel very happy to see you looking so healthy and fresh. And it astonishes me that you can keep up your schedule and so much travel and still look that way. And I supplicate that you continue to do that as long as it's good for you. I had a question about bodhicitta. You said that in the future our practice will have vast results. And I'm wondering if our practice has any results in the present. Because often when I say the dedication of merit, it implies that maybe it does have a little bit of benefit even now. And I wonder what we ought to do if we're very impatient.
너 담보를 림바체 안에 구수 담보에는 대 가보 좀 근데 림바체 마음판한테 다른 네 구감 담보기 가서 소문은 타기래 다들 장생기 콜라야 다 쇼게다 네 마음판에 데부기아 첨부 중물에 숨네 이나양다 단다기 계절안에 팬데 가서 단다와기 팬불 가이나 팬아 가서다네 가서 안에 수능디 데 가서 데 단다와라양 안에 팬바라고 요래 근데 가서다 마음불라 굽면 두버잡이나 안에 가서 단다 마음불라 가서 굽면 두버잡이나 단다라나 안에 팬바 고나데 가르쳐 그래
단다 다 단다 지당게 베르나 카신 나랑게 휴바렐라 다 산지 좀 된데 자가라라 셈바 데니 담베 추에데 아메리카를 타와 다 테페 토링보 칼레카보 다 된데 데니 다르투바 데베 메시바 중화렐라 데 다르투바데 가르테는 간들 때는 중화레세나 데네 쳇 넘버 담베 추 둥킨 텐주 무구 쳇 넘버 담베 추 둥킨 텐주 전주 추를 뭐바이엔 킹게 누바 틀레 델라테네 담베 추데 단다 다르투바 담베 추 다르네 메몽부게 냠네 세주여바 데네 데 냠네 세주여바 데페 단다 때나 틀리 자침부리 먼저 데네 다 데타르도 마음팔라요 챔필도 다 다와지마 로지마 데네 칼칼 펠도 그래봐 데네 데페 메시페 야보레바 데네 데 마음팔라 데네 쳇넘바 가랑게 셔야데 가리르세나 산지고 성 데네 데 산지기 톡데 가디 용거레세나 마음팔라 용거레 쇼레 레라 디트네 데 가디 용거레세나 다단 정기 만다 보레바
Well, it's like I mentioned the other day. The Buddha appeared in India, a place far away a long time ago, and now the Dharma is spreading in America, which is another place. And so as it is spreading here, you know, all of you students here, you're practicing, you're doing this, and it's really difficult for that to happen, but it's happening, isn't it? And so isn't that the activity of the bodhicitta now? So all of you who, you know, have faith in the Dharma, all of you who have devotion in the Dharma, you're diligent about it. There's the power of the Dharma and the activity of the Dharma, and because of that, the Dharma is spreading here. And so because of this, many people are doing a lot of practice, and so this is actually a really incredibly vast result, isn't it? So this is something that, you know, every year it's getting better. From this month to next month, there are going to be more people meeting, and the year later, more and more people, and that's wonderful, isn't it? So when talking about this, you know, we talk about the Buddhas, the body of the Buddha, the speech of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha, and when are these going to happen? These are going to happen in the future. But the activity of that, when is that going to happen? It's already happening now.
Good afternoon, Rinpoche. In our Sangha, an email came through, I think, quoting you about how the mind's clarity aspect can obscure its emptiness aspect. And I wonder if you could say a few more words about that.
The konso email tola Rinpoche sombala kaso semgi sawa de kakola tomba de la ni dibgyure de kande jungyure sawa de sawa gi cha de kaso
다 될라 대지 라고 비준신 데 간데 지레세나 데네 다 생지 내루 대 생진 통제의 요아래 다 단다 대어기 비님보다 생진 통제 지질 요아래 요아래데 간지는 출성 못해서 좋았다 그러봐 디 좋아텔라 렌데 간데지 잡아르세나 데네 지당 그 샘지 내루 텔라 살와동 동바니 요아래라 살와테 다 단다 살와테 라 tene jandang yending nige number Rinpoche yorela jandong yending nige number te sal traju te la tene no mambo char tombo salwala tin tombo sal zam te no mambo ji char chun ho mambo ji char undu te la tene tingune no charwa te zamba hiu ne tene te la dembar zai ne chun ho jang tene te la tene nyam ba je 다 텐데 용기 와라라 드니 디 갑트나라 살와티르 짱 칸쇼르와레세나 똥바드 그 마진 바르와 샘지 네루디 똥바드 그 마진레라 똥바드 그 마진 발라티니 살와티 살토 드니 노안 넘바 나초바샤 노안 넘바 나초바샤 드니 녜몬바 몬보치 드니 용기 와라라 드니 나란초 다다 네루 토포 탄도 칸데레세나 살동 성든 주바티 히니 드니 초 로반다보제 살와티 판툴 송아티 초르로네 살톤 니카 야바팅온도 냠바리가네 또 온디텔라티니 코르왈레 톨주 다틴디 킹사레 소모데.
The reason for saying that is that sometimes people ask, well, you know, we have the nature of the mind. It's present within all sentient beings. All sentient beings have Buddha nature, but how is it that we get so confused? And the answer to that is that in the mind there's the clarity and there's the emptiness. There's the two of these, and the clarity has both positive. It has positive and negative aspects, and the negative aspects of it is that sometimes it's a little bit too clear. It's like first it's just merely it's there. Then we have too many appearances, too many perceptions. First there's just mere clarity, and then there are all these perceptions. And then we get confused about those. And then through getting confused, we get fixated on them. We fixate on things as being true. We get confused by that, and then we have all the afflictions that happen. And so what is the fault, the negative thing that allows that to happen? It's that we don't recognize the emptiness. By not recognizing the emptiness, then it's just too clear, and there are too many appearances. We can't handle them. There are too many afflictions. And so what is it that we need to do? How do we need to practice? We need to recognize that it's the union of clarity and emptiness, and then sort of bring that clarity back. And so realize that, so bring it back and meditate upon the union of the clarity and emptiness. And through meditating upon that union of clarity and emptiness together, then we will be able to free ourselves from samsara.
Thank you, sir.
Chögyam